Yo, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well today. So, today I have this topic I wanted to discuss with you guys. It is called the new Tech Grift. Let me give a huge shout out to all the people who are watching the live stream right now, and then all the people who are watching the replay. Really do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. So, what do I mean by the new Tech Grift? What I mean by that is that you will see a lot of people going on social media and they will say, hey, you can get into this position with zero to no experience. There's one. Two is that you don't need a degree or certifications. And three, they make it sound as if it is extremely easy to be able to get into these type of positions. So I wanted to highlight this by showing a clip from the table with AO. I think it's the name of the video is called High Paying Careers Hiring Now, No Degree Needed by Anthony O'Neill. Okay, so if you guys don't know who Anthony O'Neill is, I believe he was on Dave Ramsey, and now he has moved from Dave Ramsey on to his own podcast, and he talks about financial education, but from a black person's perspective. So with that, if you guys don't know who Dave Ramsey is as well, Dave Ramsey has a series of books and his podcast. He has a huge brand in the finance space. He has made a lot of money based off of his baby steps, which is to be able to help you to be able to be more financially literate. But he does have a few things that he does on his podcast that I have noticed, and you'll also see this within Anthony O'Neill as well on some of his videos. One of the things I noticed is that he will make it sound as if credit cards are bad, and also that if you are having a bad financial situation, that you're pretty much a stupid person, right? Not all of his callers that call in are stupid, of course, but because if you got yourself in a bad financial situation, he will make it sound as if you are dumb for making bad decisions, when in actuality, the majority of people in the world will make bad financial decisions from time to time, depending on their lifestyle and or situation. So there's a lot of different reasons as to why somebody may be poor or may be broke at a certain period of time. But we're going to be going into this video where Anthony is using some of these same tactics to be able to make you feel the urgency of getting a high paying career, such as getting a tech sales job, right? Also, another thing is that for tech sales, I have seen so many people talking about it on social media, specifically on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And you cannot go that far without hearing about how tech sales, you don't need a degree. You just go to a boot camp. It only takes like 3 to 6 months of the boot camp. And then you go from there to making, I believe the base salary is like $50,000 on average. And then it goes up tremendously to where I've seen people say that they make $500,000 from the base salary, which is $50,000, or all the way up to $93,000, and then they're making like $500,000 because it's a sales position. Now, I don't know for certain if these people are telling the exact numbers of what you can actually make within tech sales, but I have seen so many people saying that they just did the bare minimum to be able to get into this career, and now they make the majority of more money than what everybody else makes within tech. Whether it's a technical or a non-technical role, they make it sound as if you're trying to make $500,000, that's what you need to do. is going to tech sales. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to play the video, and I'm going to be going through giving my commentary on particular parts, and let me know what you guys think in the comments as well. Please go ahead and like the video if you like the video. If you like this topic and you want to see more, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. So let me put on my headphones right quick, share my screen, and here we go. So this is the start of the video. Let me go up just a little bit. All right.
And I want to break down the 5 classes of what we have. 19%. Well, no. First class is poverty class. Working class / poverty class. Working class. Middle class. Upper middle class. And upper class. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 classes of people. And when I was reading this study, you guys know me. I'm always reading. I'm always studying. I'm always expanding my knowledge and always trying to find different ways and different approaches on how to help us really understand finances and how to really help us understand wealth and help us understand how do we build our table and help us really understand this stuff, right? And while I was reading this study is the middle class. And it breaks down the growth and the opportunities for middle class. And it was comparing the Black households compared to all households. And when I was reading this study, I was a little disappointed. But I really want to help y'all understand the middle class before we get into the careers that I believe can help change these statistics, especially when it comes to people of color, minorities, and all people who want to change their income brackets, but to be considered.
All right. So one thing it's actually a fallacy that he brings up. He says that he breaks down that there are 6 classes. And with those 6 classes, he's more so targeting the middle class, right? And this is actually pretty interesting because a lot of people don't really realize that they are not actually middle class. Middle class has actually changed as time has progressed, and it used to be that middle class, you can look at, I'm going to pull it up on the screen. You used to be able to look at the Simpsons as middle class, and there are a few things that you will notice about the Simpsons, and you'll see as though they have, right here, here's a picture of the Simpsons. So they have a dog, a cat, they have 3 children, and, it's a married couple, and they have a house, right? So if it used to be that the Simpsons were considered middle class back when they came out in 1989. But when you think about that now, how much money you would need to have in today's time in 2023, you would need a very large amount of money to be able to have a family and support a family of that amount, and then also have a house to be able to have all of those people within the house. They also have a grandfather who lives with them as well, which is, so how many people is it? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 people. And I think they also have a goldfish as well. So they have 3 pets. So when we talk about like the middle class, that is like the image that everybody is bringing up. So a lot of people are actually not in this position when you actually look at the numbers as well. So when he brings up the numbers, he brings up how the disparity between white households and black households, just because, you have some people getting into these careers, it does not mean that the racial wealth gap is going to be changed because individuals are making more money. There's actually a lot more that comes along with being able to close a wealth gap between the two races. So when he brings up the racial wealth gap disparity, and really what's going to have to happen is that there will have to be policies put in place in order for white households and black households to be a little bit closer. All right, so let's go ahead and get back into the video. Let me give a huge shout out to everybody in the chat right quick. Shout out to Amethyst, thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to Untitled, thank you so much for sharing this video as well. We got Flacco Rich up in the building, appreciate you. And we got Cloud with TJ, says $75K, no kids versus $175,000 with 3 kids. All right, when he's talking about the Simpsons. All right, let's get back into the video.
Poverty, you're making under $15,000 a year. To be considered within a working class, that's poverty. You're making $15,000 to $25,000 a year. To be in the working class, not working class, that's poverty, but to be in working class, you're making $25,000 to $50,000 a year. Where the majority of America lives is middle class individuals. And middle class are making anywhere, watch this, between $50,000 to $150,000 a year. Now, y'all probably saying $150,000 still considered middle class, depending on what state that you're in. So if you're living in a California, if you're living in a New York, then yes, that is considered a middle class. Now, upper middle class is going to be $150,000 to $200,000 a year. But to be in the upper class group of people, you're making $200,000 or more a year. Now, I want to bring to the forefront, where are the black households compared to all households? Well, 19% of African Americans, black households, are in 19%, while all households are at about 10%. When it comes to black households who are in a working class as poverty class, 13% are in the working class as poverty, while 9% of all households. Now, when it comes to black households, when it comes to working class, these are individuals who are making $25,000 to $50,000 a year. 25% of black people are making $25,000 to $50,000 a year. And working class, all households, that's 21%. Do you see the numbers here? We are interesting. Now watch this. You see that we were leading, make sure I'm right. Yep. We were leading poverty. We were leading working class poverty. We were leading working class. When it comes to middle class, where 36% of us are making $50,000 to $150,000 a year, when all households, 45%, are leading, making $50,000 to $150,000. I want to pause, y'all. I want to pause.
I do too. So, when he brings up these numbers, he's also bringing up the locations as well of where people live. So just like how, like I live in Atlanta, Georgia, $50,000 in Atlanta, it really depends on where you live in Atlanta that it would be acceptable. If you live on the south side, like maybe if you're going towards McDonough or something like that, $50,000 isn't that bad because it's not really that many big corporations down there, right? And it's not really considered Atlanta, but you can kind of, if you know where Atlanta is on the map, you can kind of figure out where I'm saying. But if you're talking about anywhere like within the perimeter, so anything within Interstate 285, then $50,000, you may be kind of on the lower end of earnings. All right, so when you're talking about $150,000, and of course, I think he is talking about single people. But if he's talking about married couples, $50,000 is extremely low. I would think that you'd be closer to like the $100,000 range as two working age adults. All right, so and of course, married adults. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go to the part that I wanted to talk about the most. Well, one of the parts I want to talk about the most.
Yes. We're not leading when it comes to making more money. Into this information, what I learned was a lot of us do not have a degree. And a lot of us, because we don't have a degree, we don't go after high income, high paying jobs. And what I love about this is it gave me something to really talk about today, which is how do we get 6-figure jobs with no degree? How do we start getting more income and we don't have a degree? Well, one of those ways are getting a certificate. One of those ways are honestly doing the research. And so today I really want to break this down. We have to get back to the point, not get back to the point, we have to start doing more research. Because a lot of us do not have degrees. A lot of us do not have a associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. And just because we didn't go to college doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the income. Now listen, studies show that if you have some level of further education, a degree, a certificate, an associate's degree, some level of further education, yeah, you will make more money, right? And I do believe that furthering our education is very, very important. But you do not have to have a bachelor's degree to make 6 figures. We don't. If the average person is making about $42,000 to $43,000 a year, we should be making more. We should be striving for more. And when I read this study, I was a little disappointed because I'm like, man, there's a lot of great jobs out there that, watch this, may not be attractive to the eye up front, but you can make real good money. You may start off making less than 6 figures, but if you get into the career field, if you get into this job, you can work your way up to making 6 figures. You can work your way up to, watch this, to really, really providing for your family. So listen, today, this is what I want to do. I want to start off today.
All right, before he does this, because I think this is the part where he goes into, okay, in a little bit he'll go into the tech side of things. But one thing I wanted to highlight, well, a few things I wanted to highlight about that last clip is that when he says that a lot of us, talking about black people, do not have degrees, that does not mean that we cannot make 6 figures. Sometimes it may take for us to get certifications and or do the research. Those are the 2 things he says that people may need to do because black people don't have as many degrees. Now, when I hear that, I'm not hearing him saying the other option, which is just get a degree. He doesn't say, oh, okay, well, you don't have a degree. Well, how about this? Go into a community college, which is cheaper than a 4-year university, and then spend maybe those 2 years, maybe you get an associate's degree, right? As you are working your regular job, you can be striving and working towards getting a degree to be able to make more money. If he says the numbers show that the average person with a degree makes more money than the average person without a degree, then why not tell people to go ahead and try and work towards getting a degree? His thing is, hey, just get a certificate or certification. So he's going to be highlighting these jobs that only require those things. It only requires you to have done the research or get a certificate. Now, another thing he does not bring up is about how competitive the job market is right now. It's extremely competitive, because you had so many people getting laid off right now. All the people getting laid off from Google, Microsoft, Facebook. You have so many people who have degrees also now in the market. Every single year, there are so many thousands of new graduates coming into the workforce, and they are also looking for these jobs as well. I saw that Google, as an example, gets I think it's like a few thousand. I don't have the exact number, right? But I can look it up. It has several thousands of people applying for jobs every single day. And if you are a recruiter who is trying to fill a position, you only need one person out of thousands of different applicants. How can you go for somebody who only has a certificate or has just done the research for a particular position? So let's say I'm a recruiter. I have 1,000 people who applied for just one of my roles that I'm trying to fill. I have a strict deadline on when I need to get this filled by. So what I'm going to do is I have my ATS system where I have all of the candidates who apply for a position on all the different websites. Monster.com, Dice.com, Indeed, LinkedIn, Zippia, Glassdoor, the actual company's website. So there's all these different websites getting hundreds and sometimes thousands of different applications, specifically LinkedIn, because it makes it so easy. LinkedIn and Indeed make it so easy to apply for a job. It's absolutely ridiculous. You can just click the button that says apply now and go on, put your resume up there, and then you've applied for the position. And so now I have thousands of people within my ATS system or my database, or if you guys want to get a visual look at it, look at Excel spreadsheets. So I have an Excel spreadsheet filled with a ton of people's names and their qualifications, their resumes, where they live, what they're looking for, all that information when you apply for the position. And how can you, as one single person, you're the only person who's working on this, go through thousands of different applications? And then you have to see who you are going to advocate for this position. Really quickly, I want to go through this because this is a quick exercise. I'm going to share myself. Quick exercise is that think about like 1,000 people all within a line, all their names, all their resumes, all this information. And I want you to filter them out. So if I were to filter out all the people who don't have the qualifications, okay, the qualifications say you don't need a degree. Okay, so now I have every single person, people with degrees, people without degrees, applying for the job. Well, how can one person go through all those people and actually interview them and talk to them and get to know who they are? You can't go through thousands of people. So you have to filter it down. So let me get rid of all the people without degrees, because that's just a little too low of a barrier to entry. So let me just go for the people with degrees, right? And then you still see, like, you may have gone from thousands of people, maybe you still have 500 people. 500 people apply for the position with degrees. Okay, well, even one person can't go through 500 people and know all their names and speak to them for, a period of time. So let's go for all the people who have certifications in addition to their degrees. And then you may have maybe 25, right? And then you have to go down even further than that. And maybe you can get down to 15 people after you look for people who may have an internal reference. Those are some things that will happen when you apply for a position. There's just too many people applying for the job for the amount of time that they have to fill the position. So they go through 15 people. It's actually a lot easier to go through 15 people and trying to remember their names and remember their schedule and trying to see if they're a good fit for the position, and then being able to set them up with the hiring manager, because you want to filter out to get to the good people so the hiring manager has an easier time to be able to fill that position. So just wanted to go through that exercise, because I find that on social media they leave out so many different things and so many different so much context that comes into the hiring process when they talk about these high paying careers that hire with no degree, that hire with no experience. They're gonna, if they had to put you with no experience versus somebody else with experience and a degree, they're gonna go with the person who's already done it before, who doesn't need to be trained as much as somebody who's fresh into the game. Okay, so even getting a certificate or certification does not mean that you are a good fit for the position. You actually have to do more than that, especially when you're talking about the tech industry, because in a few minutes he's going to be talking about his offer. Right? There's always a sales funnel that comes with these types of videos as well. So let's go back into it. I wish that he would have brought this context into it, because he's talking about black people not being able to get into these positions, and then you tell them that instead of going to get a degree to qualify, to make it easier for yourself, he's saying, oh, we got to find a workaround to it.
By going over, I believe, some of the easiest and top paying jobs that do not require a degree to make six figures. And I'm pausing. I have that long pause because I really want y'all to get it. I really want you to hear my heart on, if we just do the research, we can do it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, here's something I really want you to do. I want you to write down in the comment, put in the comments right now, if you want to be, if you want to make, if you want to see at one point in time of your life, at some point in time in your life, you making six figures. Here's where I tend to go viral at, because I think some people take it the wrong way. And I apologize if this comes off wrong. I genuinely do, but hear my heart. I believe that every man who is leading a family should be striving to make six figures. Because as we see, inflation is real and inflation is here. I don't see it dropping down drastically anytime soon. So if the cost of living, if the cost of bare necessities are going up, then we should be striving and figuring out a way to where our income is going up as well. The days of making excuses of I can't do it because of this or that and this or that's gone, you guys. We need to start making more money, whether that's having a job and having a great side business, or whether that is getting in a career and we're going up the ladder because we love what we do and we're making $150,000 a year. All of the jobs that I'm going to go over today, you can make anywhere between $90,000, $80,000 up to $200,000 a year. And I want to thank my...
All right. So before he goes into it, the sales funnel, real quick about his statement when he says that every man who is leading a family should be striving to make six figures. Do you guys agree with that? So I'm gonna put that as a poll, and tell me if that is something that you agree with. Give me 1 second as I type that up right now. All right, so I just put up a poll. It said, should every man should be making six figures? Do you agree or do you disagree? Okay. So let me know what you guys think. That every man, he didn't bring up, a couple. He didn't bring up a family should be making six. He says every man should be striving to make six figures. Not as if you don't have a partner with you who can help you make the six figures. He says every man by themselves in the family should be making six figures because it's so expensive nowadays. Okay, no matter, and then this is another thing he doesn't bring up. He brought this up earlier, but then now he seems to have forgotten that six figures is completely different in different parts of the world. Six figures in Atlanta, Georgia is doing extremely well. Six figures in Brooklyn, New York is just like how everybody else is. It's not like you won't be able to find a whole bunch of other people making that much because that's where a lot of tech jobs are. That's where a lot of that's what not specifically Brooklyn, but there's Wall Street in New York City. Or you can look at California. California has extremely high taxes to where if you were making $1 million, they will be taking up 49.5% of your income based off of taxes and Social Security. So they be taking up almost 50% of how much you're making over there in California. So it's not like you're making six figures and then you keeping six figures. You're making six figures gross, and then after taxes, it is like the equivalent of $50,000, $50,000 to $60,000. So let us go back into this because he's going to talk about his opportunity.
Partners over there at Bethel Tech who have an amazing program, the one and only Christian Boot Camp. Yo, what's going on, fam? Are you ready to make a big career move here by the end of this year? Why not pivot into the flourishing tech industry with the Bethel School of Technology, recognized globally as the sole Christian online tech boot camp? You see, with African Americans constituting a mere 7.9% of the U.S. tech workforce, I believe it's time to narrow this display and unlock opportunities for everyone in this thriving sector. Bethel Tech is steadfast in its mission to make tech careers accessible, rewarding, and economically advantageous for all individuals. Their comprehensive 9-month program is designed to equip you with the necessary skills to propel you into your technology career and move forward at a high speed. You see, recent reports from Indeed suggest that software developers in the U.S. command an average annual salary of approximately about $103,000. This is well above the national average of $48,000. You see, diversify your tech education by choosing from their specialized programs like cybersecurity and UI/UX design. With Bethel Tech, you're not just kickstarting a career, you're igniting a passion with a purpose. I want you to say goodbye to the prospects of crippling student loan debts and instead invest a mere 9 months to transform your next decade of your professional journey. Step into your potential with Bethel Tech and turn your career aspirations.
So I have to look into Bethel Tech to see exactly what they're offering. So if you guys heard earlier than this, I do want to highlight this too because I said it earlier, but I want to make sure I highlight this. The part about the men striving to make six figures is pretty much you saying, hey, you should not be comfortable with your lifestyle unless you are striving to be making six figures. That should be on your mind all the time. You should be striving for it. But you don't really need six figures in every single part of the United States. If you're in Alabama, you can do with way less. I believe that you should be striving to make a good living for you and your family. You don't necessarily need to be making six figures. All right, so that's more so where I'm going with this. You don't need to strive for it. That shouldn't be on everybody's mind per se. Like, I'm not comfortable with life unless I make six figures or striving or trying to make six figures, when in actuality, if I'm living in like Alabama or something like that, or Louisiana, there's not as many opportunities for you to make six figures. Not everybody can move to live in California and New York, where they're paying six figures pretty easily. And then now you're making six figures, but then you're getting taxed at an extremely high rate. So you're not really making your opportunities better. What I wish that Anthony brought up as well, since he worked with Dave Ramsey, I wish he had brought up that it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep, which is something that people always leave out in these conversations. You could be making $60,000 and then be doing extremely well for yourself as a single person, and then also when you're a married person, you can combine your resources to then be able to make six figures together. But for every man by himself should be striving to say that, is not really realistic for everybody, right? And of course, he says every man. I know he's not talking about every single individual man, but I just wanted to highlight that. Now let's go to this Bethel Tech, right? He's going to talk about he said the first black Christian boot camp to get people into the tech industry, right? So he wants black tech or black Christians to be able to get into this people most likely without a college degree, to be able to go into this program to be able to get into a software engineering position. Now, I don't know per se if this is a good tech boot camp or is a bad one. I don't know for certain. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at it real quick and see what the reviews are as well. So let's see. Bethel Tech. Let's see some information about it. All right, so real quick, it says upstart your career, uplift your life, or uplift your world, and it's a faith-based tech boot camp in the world. I don't know how faith and tech go together per se, but he also then says this is for pretty much every single person as well. So he says the average starting salary for a junior developer is $66,000 plus dollars, which is not the six figures that he was referring to. So the starting salary is $66,000, which is very accurate. That's how much I started. I thought when I first started as a data engineer, I was making $65,000 a year, working, and that was actually still lower than my coworkers. But that is a pretty accurate amount of money to be starting off with for an entry-level developer. And this is $65,000, and I also had a degree, and I also had 2 internships before that. One more point I want to bring up as well. He's also leaving out the opportunities that you get when you are in college. So he's talking, let me actually share myself real quick. He leaves out the opportunities that you may be able to receive while you're in college, such as when I was in college, I was able to apply for internships. Internships gives you real world working experience in a corporate environment. So this is not something that's available to every single person out there. A person who is applying for an internship most likely is going to have to be either a junior or a senior within their college career. So if you're applying for a position as an intern, it's not open for just the regular public. And then a lot of the time they actually post it on the college's internal job board, which is also not available for every single person who's out there. Right? This is only for people of college age or in college of a certain classification, which then can lead for you to be able to get a salary especially a tech salary as you're in college, and then being able to go from that internship into the real working world. So you get your degree, and then after you get your degree, you already have a job waiting on you. So you don't need to go to the boot camp. But he is talking about going to a boot camp and saying that the two options that you have available to you are getting a certification and or doing the research. He didn't say just go to college, right? That's almost just completely off the table. All right, so let's see. So he says these are some of the companies. See, he said Ramsey Solutions. So Dave Ramsey is somebody who has helped people to go to Bethel Tech. Just like I said, Anthony O'Neill was also with Ramsey Solutions, Dave Ramsey. Right? So let's see. I want to see the reviews of it. All right, so remember, it was a black tech. It's a black tech Christian. So it's a black Christian tech boot camp. Okay, a black Christian tech boot camp. All right. These are the reviews of the people who went to Bethel Tech. So let me go back. Let me make sure I heard that correctly. I showed you guys the picture. He's talking about how the racial wealth gap. Let me go back.
Amazing program, the one and only Christian boot camp. Yo, what's going on, fam? Are you ready?
All right, let me see. Let me go back because he said Christian boot camp. It might be wrong. Let's see.
I can't do it because of this or that and this or that. That's gone, you guys. We need to start making more money, whether that's having a job and having a great side business, or whether that is getting in a career and we're going up the ladder because we love what we do and we're making $150,000 a year. All of the jobs that I'm going to go over today, you can make anywhere between $90,000, $80,000 up to $200,000 a year. And I want to thank my partners over there at Bethel Tech who have an amazing program, the one and only Christian boot camp. Yo, what's going on, fam? Are you ready to make a big career move here by the end of this year? Why not pivot into the flourish?
I wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping. Let me see right quick. He doesn't have the transcript. The first Christian tech boot camp. Okay. He caught me on that one because he was talking about everything was black with him for a second. Then I thought he said the black Christian tech boot camp. I was saying mistaken. I was about to say, I was like, it's sure enough, not that many black folks who taking this tech boot camp. All right, so let's see. I want to make sure that I want to get some actual reviews of this. I want to get some actual reviews of Bethel Tech before we move on to the next part. I'm going to drop the link as well. So I got some good reviews based off of this. Okay. So it looks like it has some. It looks like it has some good reviews. I just want to see a few things because I want to see the cost as well. So it has some good reviews, but I also want to see the cost. Okay, here we go. That's what I'm looking for too. So he's talking about this Christian tech boot camp called Bethel Tech, and the prices range from $12,900 to $15,900. And it has options of paying upfront, installments, and loans. Okay, so you can either pay $12,900 to $15,900 to go through a boot camp, and then also I want to see this cost. Okay, so I wanted to see this as well. So I'm trying to compare the differences. So it says for the 2021 to 2022 school year, public community colleges charge approximately $5,155 per year for in-state students and $8,835 for out-of-state students. The average yearly tuition for private community colleges is roughly $15,477 per year. So it looks as though that would be for one year of a community college, which is close to like $15,000. That's how much it pretty much would cost for you to go to a boot camp for however long. And then it says how long is the program? 33 weeks. How long is 33 weeks? I don't feel like having to do the math. So it's about 7.5 months. So about 7.5 months of this tech boot camp. And let me break down pretty much how a boot camp goes, because I have spoken to a lot of people who have gone through boot camps as well about how many people will start with a boot camp and then how many people will actually end with the boot camp. You will start off with so many people who are trying to get into this career, trying to go through the boot camp, and then you'll see a ton of people who will not make it through. A lot of people will quit boot camps because they don't bring up that it is an actual boot camp. It is hard work. You have to pretty much treat it like a job. You can't just do a boot camp and not actually put in a ton of work, right? So not everybody is going to be as disciplined to be able to get through a boot camp as well. As in addition to boot camp, community college, there's a lot of different things that if you're not disciplined to do this, you may not be disciplined in other areas as well. So let's see. Let's see. There is one more part I wanted to bring up as well. I wanted to see when he's talking about some of the jobs. And then we can go ahead and drop the link as well.
Elevator mechanics.
All right, that's not it.
Is helping people get to and from their destination, and that if I do this, fill out a form on Amazon's cloud service website and say, hey, for an example, Amazon has a good cloud tech.
Okay, technology sales. So tech sales. There you go right here. So this is the other part I wanted to go over as well. All right, and then I can drop the link.
Tech industry. Selling technology products, selling iPhones, selling computers, selling tech online, selling tech period. Oh my goodness. Now what's the overview of this particular job? It's they dive into the tech world, selling software, hardware, and other services in the tech industry. And I think a lot of people get it confused when we talk about the technology sales. These are not cold calling people. You're not going out there and you're cold calling people. No, these are people who found your website. These are people who, for an example, Amazon has a good cloud service that a lot of people are not really aware about. Amazon doesn't really make all of their money on Amazon.com. They have an Amazon cloud service. And there's a lot of companies that use their services for the cloud services. So for a clear, good example, so you can understand how technology sales work is, let's say I want to use Amazon's cloud service for my company. Well, I'm going to call Amazon, or I'm going to fill out a form on Amazon's cloud service website and say, hey, I am interested in learning more about your product. Can someone give me a call? Then the tech salesperson gives them a call. So it's not cold calling. You're not trying to convince someone to sell. No. They're looking for your services. It is your job to get them a little bit more interested and then transfer them to a professional to walk through the entire program and to close the deal. But in tech sales, it's your job to do the intro calls and position them to be sold by someone else who is now going to close the deal. That is it. There's no cold calling. There's no open up a book and find people to call. No, we're going to give you people who are interested in your product and interested in our product. If you're working for me as a company, it's your job to call them and set up a meeting for someone else who's a bit more qualified to sell them on the actual product. Now, these base salary ranges vary. Your base pay could be anywhere between $50,000 to $90,000. Base salary. Base salary means when you hear people say base salary, it's okay, cool. I'm going to pay you a guaranteed $50,000. I'm going to pay you, a guaranteed $90,000. But on top of that, I'm going to give you commission. And y'all, we've had several shows of people who have a base salary of $75,000, but they're making $150,000 a year. They're making $200,000 a year because of their sales commission. And I think a lot of people are scared of the word sales, but let's be honest, we all sell something every single day and we don't know it. I sell this iPhone every time I use it. All right, so what are the, I would say the pros about working in is tech? Podcasting is technology. We all need technology. Technology is not going away anytime soon. It's only going to be evolving, and it's only close to, I think it's like 5 to 7% of African Americans inside of it, which is why I'm a huge fan of Bethel Tech, because they want to get as many people in it, but they have a special heart of helping the minorities get into it more. And we're going to drop their information in the show notes of how you can check out Bethel Tech and get into it. But technology sales is amazing. Now, what are some of the cons? It's very competitive. And you
Right. Sorry. So that's where they came from. I watched this video before. I wanted to break this up too. Is that earlier when I was saying that it was the black Christian tech boot camp, he actually says they're trying to help the minorities get into the boot camp more. All right, they're trying to help them more than the majority. So that's where that came from. So I apologize for saying the black tech Christian boot camp. He was more so talking about the minorities, right? So that means anybody who is considered a minority, not specifically only black people.
You have to stay up to date with trends. Yeah, think about it. Think about this con. Blockbuster was refusing to adapt to technology. They were refusing to go from DVDs, VCRs, or not VCRs, but those tapes, to online. So now all of a sudden, Netflix comes along and they have nothing but streaming, and Blockbuster's like, no, we got stores like crazy. We don't need to adapt to nothing. They didn't adapt to current technology. And now look at Netflix. They own the market. And where's Blockbuster? Nowhere. They're trying to get into the digital space, but it's not happening. Not the way Netflix is right now. Not the way Amazon is right now. Not the way Apple is right now. And so to really win in this space, you got to stay up to date with trends, because if you don't, you're going to fail. Okay. So what's the pathway to doing this? It's simple, you guys. You really have to gain knowledge on the product that you're serving. You got to build client relationships, and you got to really learn to master the sales process. And what I love about the companies like a Bethel Tech, and once they get you placed on the company, they teach you the process of selling. They teach you how to really, really, really negotiate, how to sell, how to convince people that their product is the best product for that particular person. It's the easiest, I believe, one of the easiest careers that we can get into with no large investment. No large investment. We're seeing right now that a 4-year degree is going to run us anywhere between $100,000 and $115,000. This is going to be for your room, board, tuition, food, you name it. For all that experience for 4 years, long term is about $100,000+ to get your 4-year degree. When the average person is coming out, and what did we say? They're making about $43,000 to $48,000 a year for that income. Now, wait. I just spent $100,000. I get out and I'm only making 43 to about 48. Let's round it up to $50,000 a year. When we know that there are people who are graduating with $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 in student loan debt. So I just spent 4 years without working a full-time job to graduate with this amount of debt, and I only have this amount of income, when I can spend at Bethel Tech $15,000 to get a degree, to get a certificate, and go land me a job making $75,000, $80,000 base plus commission, making about $120,000 to $150,000 a year. But I've only spent maybe $15,000 with them and paid for that cash. So I graduated with no debt. And watch this. Not only did I spend $15,000, but I only spent nine months of my time compared to 4 years of my time. So what really makes sense? Again, I'm not knocking college. Because if you're going to be a doctor, go to school. If you're going to be a lawyer, please go to school. If you're going to be a school teacher, you need to go to school. If you're going to be a nurse, you need to go to school. I don't need no YouTube school. No. Go to a 4-year degree school. I need you to spend 4, 5, 6 years learning the body, learning the signs of this before you start operating on me. I don't need 9 months of YouTube. But if you're going to work with your hands, if you're going to sell something, you don't need to spend 4 years in school for that. So you're going to spend 9 months, spend a quarter of the price, and instantly when you come out, you're making more money than what you spent to learn how to do that particular career. That sounds like a great ROI for me.
All right. He is selling that extremely, like, he is trying to make it sound as if he's not down in college, but then left out so much context and so many things and options and opportunities that college actually gives you. Somebody who has never gone through college wouldn't know that they have scholarships and they have ways of you being able to pay that tuition and fees. Let me share myself. So he wants you to, what's going on is he is positioning this Christian tech boot camp as the best way of being able to get into this career. And also, I have dropped the link as well if anybody wants to join the panel. So he is positioning the tech boot camp as the best way of being able to get into this career. But then he's leaving out the fact that college has so many different things that comes along with it. And there's also another thing too. I want to know who his audience is, because he's talking about, it's going to cost you $100,000 to go to college for a 4-year degree. So you go into college, you spend like $100,000 to $200,000 because you didn't apply for any scholarships. You didn't try to get any grants or loans. And he's not talking about whether it's in-state or out-of-state. In-state is always going to be cheaper. Out-of-state is always going to be more expensive. So if you're in-state and you have scholarships, grants, you consistently apply for different grants and scholarships, and then if you do get a loan, you can get a loan from the government or a federal loan. If you get a federal loan, it's usually going to have a lower rate. It's usually going to have a lower rate, and then it's not as if you have to spend, you have to get the full loan amount directly going towards college. You may be able to have your parents also being able to help pay for your college as well. So there's a few things that he's saying that I wanted to highlight, because he made it known he's talking to black people, and he's talking to black people with no degree. And he's also then talking to black people with no degree who are Christians. And because he's talking to that demographic, he's also talking, and I'm assuming that his audience is going to be closer in age to him. He looks to be like maybe in his 30s or 40s, right? So Anthony O'Neill, he looks like he's like maybe mid 30s to like early 40s or something like that. He's talking to people closer in his age range. He's not talking to people who are 17, 18, 19, like fresh out of high school age, who most likely will be going to college. Right? And then he brings up, in addition to the fees, he talks about the college experience, which is going to college, taking the classes, and then in addition to taking the classes, he says living on campus and the food and all this and that. Now, if you're in state, you're 18, 19, 20, whatever, you can live with I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of the time you can live with your parents as you go to college. So your food and your room and board are going to be covered. Now, not everybody, of course, but, for the majority of people, if you're 17, 18 years old, usually you can just live with your parents when you go to college. You don't have to go and live on campus. So that would cut off a huge amount of the money that he's talking about that you would have to spend. He's talking about the extreme amount. He's not talking about what would be more realistic, which is you living off campus. Your parents, driving you to the college, or they're giving you a car so that way you can ride there. You taking the bus and the train, which is costing you way less than living on campus. I remember my dad telling me when I was growing up, he said, I told him, I said, okay, Dad, I want to live on campus. It's going to be $3,000 to live on campus. And my dad told me, good luck. That's what he said. He said, good luck, because he ain't got no $3,000. I said, okay, I'm going to stay at home, and I'm going to take this train to be able to get to class. I'm going to take this public transportation to get to class. And then I did that every single day that I needed to go to the class, whenever I needed to do something, to save on that money. He didn't bring up how when you get a college degree, you can also then get internships, which is a way better way of being able to get a higher paying career, is through getting the internship, because you're actually working with a large company or a company within the industry. You already have experience, right? You have experience as soon as you get out of college. So you can get internships, you can get scholarships, you can get help from family members to be able to help you cut down on the costs. He's talking about these extreme things that you see on YouTube where somebody got a degree and then they paid $200,000. $200,000 is like a doctor, right? $100,000 is like if you just didn't care to take any kind of scholarships. Some they give scholarships out for people who are just tall. They give out scholarships for like people who are black or women. They give out scholarships for a whole bunch of things. They give us money to people just because they have it. They give out scholarships to people just because they applied. And then so much money is gone to waste. So when somebody says, "Oh, you gonna go to college and it costs like $100,000," you got to pay all this and that. You might as well spend $15,000 when the average person I believe they say that the average person does not have $1,000 for an emergency expense. So you don't even have $1,000 for an emergency expense. And he doesn't bring up that you get like scholarships to go to the boot camp or anything like that. He says you can pay $15,000 cash to go to this boot camp. And I looked at the financing model. They said that you can pay it up front, you can pay it through installments, and you can pay it through a loan. So they also have loans as well. So it's not really that much better. So let me go ahead and I want to go through this real quick. I dropped the link. Oh, I do see somebody in the waiting room. Let's see if they're still up. All right, there we go. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, PBO. Got Professor Black Ops in the building. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, B2B. How are you doing, man?
Doing well. I'm over here just cooking on this. I don't know how long you were waiting up there. I just saw you
No,
join in.
You're fine.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to make this quick point is that Anthony O'Neill is saying that every man should be striving to make six figures. He does not bring up that six figures mean, he brought it up in the beginning, but then he forgot that six figures means something completely different in different locations of the world. And then he talks about this Tech Christian boot camp that favors minorities. When you look at the reviews, and the majority of the people on there are white people.
Facts. I saw that.
Giving the reviews, but they favor minorities. And then now he's saying that college, he's not down in college if you're going to become a lawyer, doctor, or a school teacher, but you don't need to go to college to get a six-figure career within tech. And what I believe he's doing is using a manipulation tactic to be able to sell people to get into the course. It's a manipulation tactic to bring up only the extremes for college, which is $100,000 to $200,000, and leave out all the context of how much you can save from that $100,000 to $200,000, but then leverage $15,000 cash as an option for a tech boot camp. PBO, what do you think about this?
I agree with you, and I think a couple people actually mentioned it in the chat. Is community college, WGU's at the top of the list. I taught at a community college for forever, so I think you're right. I think he's leaving out kind of the middle. Like you said, especially even at a four-year college, you get scholarships, grants. There's a lot of ways to cut down your cost. And like your father mentioned, if you're not living on the yard trying to step, right, you can really cut your costs, because the main thing is women board and the meals. So if you manage that, you can definitely cut down your costs. But I think tech is the new Bitcoin, right? So everybody's trying to sell it, flip it, push certain things. And like you're talking about, you just got to do your due diligence. I think community college, aka WGU, most states have a pretty good a community college there. So I think community college is actually the blueprint. So
I completely agree with you. I brought up community college prices earlier as well, and it's comparable to how much he's saying to go to the boot camp. And
Right.
and the thing is, I also brought up is that a boot camp is a boot camp. He said 9 months. When I looked it up, it said 7.5 months of you waking up every single day trying to learn how to code. You sitting over here working. You have to work hard at a boot camp. It's not like you can just go and you can. I don't feel like coding today. I'm not gonna do it. You have to be held accountable. You know, you can fail a boot camp. You can sit here and not make it through. I remember.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say this guy I know because I've gone to several tech meetups and events. This guy was like, hey, you know, I noticed that the majority of people, they did not make it through. They didn't make it through to the end. There was a ton of people when you first started, and then there's like 5 people who finally graduate. He may have like I don't know the exact numbers per se on this particular example, but he did tell me it was only like a few people who actually did graduate.
Yeah, and I met a young guy. He didn't graduate a boot camp here in Indiana, so I was talking to him, trying to get him to pivot because coding's not for everybody, man. That's a unique skill set. Sitting at a monitor for 6-5 hours a day is a lot, man. So I think programming is a unique skills, and it seems like a lot of boot camps are focusing on programming. I'm like, dude, that's a tough way for me to pass a boot camp. Especially now, there's so many frameworks and programs and languages. Which ones do you pick? Which ones are you going to focus on? Are those really the hot languages you learn? Right. I actually taught at a for-profit school for about a year. And they were just horrible. They didn't have the proper hardware, the proper instructions. So they actually end up getting defunded by the government. So you got to do your research on a lot of these profit for college and boot camps, because all boot camps aren't created equal. So
yes, I completely agree. I've heard that there are people who will say like we went over a boot camp on our last stream with Boyd Cluis, and he had his own course, and he was charging, oh my gosh, I forgot exactly the amount. It was like $10,000, something like that. It was a lot of money that he had. I think it was closer to like $5,000. So $5,000 for like a course, and you are leveraging that over going to college, over the internships, over the connections that you will make on the way, using manipulation tactics. And I wanted to also bring up this too, is in the earlier days of YouTube, I want to say around 2015, 2016, you would see a lot of gurus in the real estate space, in the Amazon FBA space, where they're talking about how you really don't need to go to college. You just need to go ahead and get a business. Mm-hmm. They almost leverage a business going to a boot camp in this instance as being over going to college, when you're on the other side talking to another person who went to college. You're talking like a recruiter doesn't I don't believe they necessarily need to go to college, but I have never met a technical recruiter who has not gone to college before and has not gotten a degree in business. So they're going to be looking at you like, okay, well, you don't really have that much experience. I have people who already have references from an internal contact. I already have people who have worked at Bloomberg or Google or Meta. And why would I choose you over? And then it's almost as if they act as though the boot camp's name is all they really need to bring up, right? Like the connections from that particular boot camp are just so grand that you can go into an organization, talk to the recruiter, and they say, "Oh, Bethel Tech, I've heard of them before. Let me go ahead and put you over all these other people who were in line, all these other 1,000 people." And just like how you said, PBO, is that not every boot camp is the same. I've never heard of Bethel Tech before this, but they making it sound like, it's guaranteed for you to get a job. And also, there's one more thing he does bring up as well, and I'll go ahead and let you go, PBO, while I pull it up.
Okay. I agree with you, and that's the selling point. I think there's some good boot camps out there, but if you're in competition and somebody's got a degree versus a boot camp, right? So with a boot camp, of course, you got to have a portfolio, hopefully some leak code examples, right, to show you can hopefully a bigger project to kind of balance that up. But like you said, if you're in competition, if somebody has a degree and you just have a boot camp, right? They're probably gonna pick the person with degrees, right? But on the other side too is colleges, and you brought it up. College needs to have an ROI on a return on their investment. But like we talked about, if you do community colleges, there's other ways to get your costs down for that particular for getting a college degree. So there's a couple ways to do it.
I agree. I do want to play this because he goes into Bethel Tech again, and he gives a guarantee. And I want to see if it's here in this part or not. And I wanted to see if you agree with it as well. So let's go through this real quick, and then give me 1 second.
That's why I fully support Bethel Tech. So again, you can go to anthonyoneal.com/Bethel Tech to learn more about the technology sales area, because technology is the #1 career that's making net worth millionaires. And when I say net worth millionaires, these are individuals who may only make $75,000, $60,000 a year, but because they're maxing out on their 401ks, because they're taking advantage of the match of their 401k, because they're investing into an IRA, because they're maxing out their HSA plans, because they are, maybe buying different kind of investment portfolios, like opening up a CD, having a high yield savings account, because they're doing the basic things and living below their means, not racking up debt and investing properly, they're building a net worth of $1 million. So they're not making $1 million a year, but by the time they turn 60, 65, 50 years old, they have $1 million inside their investments. Now, I want you to think about this, you all. We're not talking about money here, but we're talking about money. Think about it. If you're getting an average of 10% return on $1 million, if you have $1 million in the bank, let me make sure I just do this thing correctly, because I want y'all to make sure, because I know y'all be coming for me in the comments, right? And you take $1 million and you times that by 10% investment, that's $100,000 in interest that your money is making a year. So if you're making $55,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, and you're investing and you're maxing out everything that you can, and you're getting to $1 million, that means you're making $100,000 a year now. Watch this. What do you mean, Anthony, making $100,000 a year? Well, if your investments, all your investments is returning a 10% return on interest, okay? If you're getting a 10% return on your investment every single year on $1 million, what I tell people is don't touch the million, touch the 10%. So now you're making $100,000 a year, because for 30 years you were investing into your future, making $65,000, making $70,000 a year. So now,
all right, completely contradicted what he said earlier in this live stream. He said that I believe every man should be striving to make 6 figures, and then now he says, oh, it's okay if you make $75,000 and then you're a net worth millionaire making $100,000 off of investments with a 10% return on investment every single year. Very high numbers. I think 10% is extremely high. Very, I don't even think that's like the average when you're talking about for every one of your investments. extremely high. That's like beating the market,
Hey,
which is extremely hard to do.
yeah, you Warren Buffett if you're getting 10% every year. You Warren Buffett, man.
Yeah,
Get it.
he put out his calculator and everything like that was gonna help us understand where the 10% was gonna come from. Go ahead, PBO. What were you saying?
But no, I think you hit it right. I think that's the lure. All right. Now we switch to 70 and you invest your 401k and kind of build that up and kind of make that happen so you can become a millionaire. Right. So I mean it's doable, highly unlikely, but it's doable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like we know what the average salary is for a person. So he wants you to beat everything, right? The salary, the investment, and I mean that's what he's selling, right? So um like you said, it just seems, I wouldn't say far-fetched, but like you said, it'll be interesting to see where Bethel College ranks, right? Because I think they rank colleges out there in boot camps. So it'll be interesting to see where they're ranked. Um, but once again, this is the selling season. Everybody's selling something, pushing some. So you got to do your research to make sure it's appropriate for what you're trying to do.
Yes, I agree. Now, I do also want to bring this up too. So I'm gonna. It's a little bit more. I want him to get to the point where he talks about the guarantee. I don't remember the exact percentage he gives, but I want to get to it. It's coming up.
Now you go from making 50 to 60 to $70,000 a year to now you got a pay raise, and now you're retired. You're not working every single day, but you're making $100,000 a year now because of your investments, because of your portfolio that you've built. So for me,
also he doesn't bring up. He says every man who is over a family should be striving to make six figures. So now you're making 50, 60, $75,000 a year. You got a pay raise, but you retired, and now you're living off $100,000 off of several millions of dollars you put into all of your investments. And I'm sitting here like, okay, extremely extremely high expectations for an average person to be making that much money to be able to have that much return on investment, and then also doesn't bring up the expenses that an average person may have as well throughout this journey of their career.
I'm not, for me, when people look at me, I'm not investing so I can have, 5, 10, $20 million to live off of. No. I'm putting that money away for my legacy. But I want to live off of the interest of my legacy money. So right now, the money that I'm investing, that's not for me. That's for my kids. That's for my kids' kids. That's for my kids. But I am going to live off of, because I have no debt, my house will be paid for, my investment properties will be paid for. Man, I ain't trying to turn this into no money thing, but I'm loving this right here. I'm loving this right here. Because this is why we need these kind of jobs to set us up for the future. We don't need to be making $1 million a year. We don't have to make $500,000 a year to have a net worth of $1 million. No, we need a system, we need strategy, and we need income. Ooh.
I'm not trying to turn it into a money thing. The whole thing is about money. The title of the video is called High Paying Careers. I'm not trying to turn this into a money thing, but I'm telling you that you got to spend $15,000 to get into this boot camp.
I feel that's not even on my notes. We need a system to follow. We need a strategy, which is a game plan, and we need income. Now, the larger our income can be, then the quicker we can get there. But you do not have to make $1 million. You do not have to be a millionaire a year to have a net worth of $1 million. So if you're getting this job, like the next one, if you are a commercial pilot, let's say.
All right, skip ahead.
Money, go spend it. Uh-oh. And that is the biggest problem with certain people, especially in these careers. They make all this money and they have not learned how to budget, for the remaining part of the year. And they're not tracking their wealth. Here's the last one. These are all interesting careers. Number 6 is a commercial diver.
Hold on. You talking about something completely different. I think this may be it here.
I don't have an associate's degree. I want you to consider looking into these careers. I want you to consider going in deeper and seeing, is this something that you can fit? And let's just say, for an example, you find one of these interesting. Hey, go apply for one. Go look for one. Go see if you can get into it. If you're interested in tech, check out my friends over there at Bethel Tech. They're going to get you ready in 9 months. And I would definitely say you have about an 80% chance of getting a job instantly because of their relationships. So we'll drop the information in today's show notes. All
right, there he goes. So that is the last part I wanted from this video. He said there is an 80% chance of you instantly getting a job through their connections at Bethel Tech. So PBO, what do you think about that? The 80% guarantee.
I would need to see their connections. I knew a guy that owned a company. He had connections because he worked at DOD. So he fed them, right? So you would need to ask him, what are those connections? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's easy to say, but do they have contracts with certain state and local governments so they can feed you into there if you're at the top of your class? That would be my question. Just off the top of my head, that sounds a little kind of far-fetched because those are super hard to get now. So,
yeah. So let's see. You said that there was a ranking system, Tech Boot Camp.
Yeah, I thought there was. It used to be one. I know they're out there for colleges. So I thought there was some out there for. See, people rank them, but like you said, that's Bethel's probably not even heard of.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. So I've heard of Springboard before. I've heard of Hack Reactor before.
Yeah,
I've heard of General Assembly.
I would do that search, but put Bethel at the end and see if it comes up.
Okay, let me
search it. Do the search then for the top boot camps of boot camp, and then put Bethel in there and see if it comes up on anybody's ranking.
It says a review.
That's their stuff, though. Like you said.
This is the same website. Boot camp.
Oh, is it? Okay. Are they ranking it?
Let's see. So it takes about 7.5 months. Graduation rate. So the graduation rate is 80%. Employment rate after 120 days is 85%.
That's good.
And the median salary is $66,000. So he looks like he undersold it.
Yeah, but a lot of times you can pay to be placed on stuff. I would like to see it in some other rankings too. Maybe I don't know. Yeah. I'm a little skeptical. That seems super high. But I mean, they might take those people. Maybe what type of jobs do they get? That could be help desk jobs if they feed out their boot camp to get you started, which is nothing wrong with that. But it'd be interesting to see what type of jobs are those.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the boot camps here. These are the top boot camps, the best coding boot camps. Actualize is number 1, but it's remote. It's a remote boot camp, and also in Chicago. $16,900. So it's around a little bit more than Bethel Tech. And in software development is the tech discipline online. You can do it part-time. All right. So if Coding Dojo has an 84% of students found a job within the industry within 180 days after graduation, and 91% found a job within the first year, then Bethel Tech has a higher number than Coding Dojo. It should be pretty much far up there, but it's not in the top 10. All right, so that's really what I wanted to bring up about the differences between boot camps, the differences between actually going to college, and also the different sales tactics that I'm noticing that is going on between the people on social media, right? You have so many people talking about how much money tech sales will be able to afford you, and then you see what you actually have to do to get into it. They never really tell you exactly. They don't say. They say go to this boot camp, and then that's all you really need to do. And it's extremely competitive, but all you need to do is go to the boot camp, and then you have an 85% chance of being able to get into that career.
What was the graduation rate? Was it 85 people? Did they say was that the graduation rate or the placement rate?
Graduation rate was 80%.
That seems super high for boot camps. So maybe they could be super selective, but boot camps usually wash a lot of people out. So I don't know. So that seems super high.
And then also it says 85% was the amount of people who got a job within the 120 days, I believe it was.
Maybe boot camps are more popular, like you said. Maybe employers are respecting boot camps a little more. I know Silicon Valley's been kind of talking about boot camps a little differently lately, just with the cost of college. So that's just a hard way to do it, but it's a shorter way to do it.
It's shorter, yeah, but also community colleges. You can go there and get your associate's degree in 2 years. Sometimes it'd be like a year and a half. You can get an associate's degree.
Especially with WGU takes your work experience and give you credits for your work experience. So it could be definitely that amount of time with WGU because they're doing it a little differently. Then at the end of their courses, you sit for a certain certification. So for me, I think WGU is kind of the blueprint and the gold standard for the community college. Once again, I taught for a community college for 10 years, and one of the colleges I taught for got closed down by the government, right? Because they weren't doing it properly. So,
yes, sir. All right, PBO. Anything else you wanted to bring up about this, or in the closing thoughts?
No, I think you did a great job. I like how you do that. Stay on the grifters, the people who were suspect. I mean, because he was kind of all over the place. I wish she would have dug into the program a little more and just kind of talk about what you would learn, kind of the frameworks, kind of what sets them apart from other boot camps. That would have been nice to hear. Set, every man needs to make 100,000. So I would like to see that. So, like you said, maybe those top 10, we could dig into those and kind of figure out, what they're teaching and why they're the top class. And but no, once again, I think community college is the blueprint. Unless you're trying to go on a yard and step. Once again, I think WGU giving you credits for your current work history, and you get certifications at the end of a lot of your classes. I worked with a couple of guys from WGU, and they seem to be on top of their stuff. So once again, I think for me, community college is the gold standard and the blueprint. Man. Thanks for having me up, B2B.
I appreciate you, PBL. Thank you so much for coming up, man. Salute. So I wanted to have that discussion with you guys. I believe that PBO brought up a good point when he said that he wanted to learn more about what actually you learn in this boot camp. Because when he says something like, 85% of the people are able to get a position within a certain period of time, I'm not sure how the connections will be, what they actually teach, and they or go into the fine details about the actual program itself. But he was kind of all over the place within this video, because at first he starts off and says every man needs to needs to be striving to be making six figures if you are leading a household. Then he goes into and talks about all these careers that you can get without getting a degree. Instead of telling people to get a degree as an option, it's almost like get a degree if you want to become a doctor, lawyer, a school teacher. You don't have to worry about a degree if you want to make six figures. Right? Now, of course, he's telling the truth, but the manipulation tactic is that he will juxtapose his boot camp that he's trying to sell over college, which if you go to the same college as somebody, that could help you get a position. And then also it gives you the theoretical standpoint as well for how to go about answering specific questions that boot camps don't really teach you, right? Because boot camps go through the technical knowledge of things. They go through and they say, hey, this is what a for loop is. This is how you code this. And college will go through the theory behind why you will make certain decisions for a particular solution. So something else that was not really brought up as well. He was kind of all over the place too when he's talking about you need to be making striving to make six figures, but then it's okay if you make $75,000 a year, and then have a net worth of $1 million with a 10% return on investment for whatever investment vehicle that you're putting your money into, and which is extremely high number as well, extremely high percentage. And there's no guarantees. You can't really predict how much you'll be able to make for the return on investment, because there's a lot of different things that happen within the economy, within the world, that will affect your investments. You could finish your 40-year career, and then if another COVID happens or something else happens within the world, that investment could tank. So when you tell people to go for an investment, you also have to bring up that you can also lose money as well. Not that you are just gaining 10% no matter what. You also have the ability to lose your money in addition to gaining it as well. So one last thing is, he finally at the very end brought up about how to keep your money through budgeting and stuff like that. Budgeting is living below your means. I think that's extremely more important after you get to a certain income bracket. When you get to $60,000, $70,000, then it's really about budgeting versus your actual your income, right? Your income helps you to be able to invest. It helps you to be able to save for the future and take care of your necessities as well. All right. So with that being said, guys, let me go to the poll right quick before we close out. So shout out to all the people in the chat as well. Let me give a huge shout out to my superstar here. She says, please click the like button. Shout out to Gail at Night, my superstar. I appreciate you so much, Gail, for coming through and being a moderator for this channel. I could not do it without you. And the poll says, so I did leave out the word strive for, but the poll says every man should be making six figures. Do you agree or disagree? I have 57% of people who disagree and 43% of people who agree out of, it's going up now. At 24 votes, 58% say they disagree. 42% of people say that they do agree. So that is that's the poll. So to answer Anthony O'Neill's question is that I don't believe that every man who is leading a family should be striving for six figures per se for themselves. I think that it's more so about the amount of money that you're able to keep versus the amount of money that you can actually make. Right? After you get to a certain point, which is closer to that $60,000 to $70,000 range. All right, that's actually really high in certain areas, and then also it gives you enough money to be able to invest your money, save, and then also take care of your necessities as well. All right, guys. So with that being said, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and also hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified whenever I make new videos on YouTube. Also, guys, I have a newsletter as well. I will have the link to my newsletter in the description. Go to BeforeTheBillions.com so that way you can sign up. And then also you have a link to my Discord as well. Please go ahead and join the Before the Billions newsletter and also Discord. So that way you guys will be able to speak with me and anybody else within the BTB squad. And then also you'll be able to get more information about news like this, tech news, and then also the tech industry as well. We have some great conversations, and also you get exposed to a great network of people who are able to guide you into your career. So that being said, guys, please go ahead and do those things for me. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all on the next video.